Bitcoin has reached a new all-time high and then sold off with the biggest daily decline in many, many months. What does that now mean for the Bitcoin price? Have we reached the peak? Everything that is currently important for the current price action, we're going to discuss right in this video. So stay tuned. We're going to continue soon. Hello and welcome to yet another video from Bloomberg Capital. My name is Patrick and I have my esteemed colleague Henrik sitting next to me again. Today we want to discuss the reasons why the price of Bitcoin has declined right after reaching its new all-time high and what the fundamental factors were by that. Furthermore, we're going to discuss on how the price could behave in the future, so you definitely want to stay until the end of the video. Henrik, so what is the reason that Bitcoin has sold off so sharply, and it was also the largest daily decline in many, many months?
Well, Bitcoin certainly had a big decline, and a major reason for that is actually the publication of the numbers of the producer price index. The numbers here were quite negative and actually shocked a lot of investors because the numbers indicate a large inflation wave coming. Now, with a lot of investors shocked by these numbers, many tried to safeguard their investments and pull their money out of the market, which led to a lot of volatility and a lot of chaos. So a lot of assets actually sold off, not only Bitcoin, but Bitcoin was certainly one of the ones caught in this chaos. But this fact really shouldn't be the one that leads to a larger long-term decline for Bitcoin. Actually, if you look at what's going on, there are actually a lot of positive factors which speak for a positive future for Bitcoin. Now, while Bitcoin currently is kind of being left in the dust by Ethereum when it comes to growth, Bitcoin still has a lot going for itself and a lot of reasons to grow. Now, on one hand, we still have the Genius Act. We have the Genius Act, which does favor Ethereum in its positive effect because of its focus on stablecoins, but it still should, in the long term, push Bitcoin higher, simply due to the sheer amount of money that this will flood the crypto market with. And if you factor in our forecast of a weak dollar in the future, and if you pair that with a potential rate cut by the Fed, this should lead to growth in a lot of assets and also Bitcoin. But there are some more favorable political processes going on at the moment. And one of those is that while the government actually postponed their plans to buy Bitcoin directly, Bitcoin is now available for investment for retirement plans, which should, again, in the long term, lead to a lot of money coming into the crypto market. And in this case, actually, Bitcoin should be the one who is favored here the most and which should see the most growth out of this, simply due to it being the largest cryptocurrency. And I mean, if you look at it in general, before this sell-off here, Bitcoin was at an all-time high and the entire crypto market is looking pretty positive. And at this point, it's actually worth $4.41 trillion. So on a level with Nvidia, currently the biggest company in the world.
Thanks, Henrik. Now, that were a lot of positive factors for Bitcoin. However, we want to question the other side of the coin here with this video as well, because we think that there is reason to believe that we are going to enter a bit of a correction here, since the market has shown us that it wants to come down a little bit lower due to the largest daily decline we had in months. So what can we say from the price action? Well, we have a 4-year cycle in Bitcoin, and so far it has been very accurate. However, we are now reaching the topping end of that 4-year cycle, and it could peak between anywhere from now until December of this year. So we really want to be careful with the price action right now as it is weakening to the upside, because it could show us that the larger cycle is now turning down, therefore giving us muted price action to the upside. This happened the same way at the lower side, where the thrust to the lower side here were getting weaker and weaker. And then we saw the reaction to the other side. Therefore, something very similar is happening here, and therefore we need to be careful. So what is the current scenario? We do believe that September is going to be a negative month for Bitcoin, because in every bull market year, September was never positive. Therefore, we can assume that this weakening of price might just be a correction that is currently calling for its way, and we just get to like 100,000 price level before we can continue higher. Now, when will we actually know that this bull market has indeed peaked and we are going to reach lower prices from here on a sustainable basis? This would mean that we need to break the 79,000 level and then hold below it. As long as this doesn't happen, the bull market is still on, even though it may not feel like it in a potential September correction. So, what is the most actionable thing that I, as an investor, should do? I don't think this is the point to buy for the long term. I think this is a better profit taking target for now rather than investing for the long haul. It gets very interesting here, but for this, we need to know what price does in the meantime. And you surely want to subscribe to our channel to get the latest updates on the price action here as well. For trading purposes, however, you could check for short-term short selling entries right here and then maybe even swing trade this to the downside. Maybe you already have a holding. That is also not the worst idea to actually hedge yourself with that type of entry. Additionally, I remember this price action very similarly as many pension funds are now able to buy Bitcoin. This was the same way when we had the BlackRock news where the ETF was announced here. We surely did get a price spike, but then we had to ask ourselves, why would Larry Fink, the head of BlackRock, buy Bitcoin very expensively? They would wait for a correction and then get in. So even though the news is out, I'm pretty certain that those pension funds wouldn't simply buy the highs. They would also wait for some discounts on the price before pushing in. Therefore, I think the scenario where the correction might happen might be the best case here for now, due to it enabling us to add to our positions or even re-roll profits into cheaper prices here to drive them up even higher later on. And it's very unlikely that the pension funds are going to buy this topping formation for now. So summarizing, we think that the price can still go up, but however, we currently favor the short-term correction scenario more. And if you'd like to know how the price action will develop and how our scenario will develop as a forecast, please do subscribe. I'm Patrick here with Bloomberg Capital. I wish you a good trading week. Until next time, goodbye.